Hey, I'm Jason Wood, the VA Loan Guy and host of the Armed and Ready podcast. Please come and check out this exciting episode we have for you. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Armed and Ready podcast. I'm your host, Jason Wood, the VA Loan Guy. Today, we've got two Air Force vets on the show. Bringing on Brian Arrington, so you know it's going to be off the charts because it's two Air Force guys. I mean, come on. But Brian, hey man, I want to say thanks for spending some time with us today, and I want to share with everybody your story. Career Air Force guy, doing some great stuff in the nonprofit space right now. So super excited to have you, man. Thanks.
Well, thank you. I'm really excited to be here. Really love your show and had the opportunity to watch quite a few of your podcasts, and you just continuously bring on great talent and people that are just doing amazing things on the outside. And really appreciate you bringing that voice, to everybody.
Yeah, well, thanks, man. It's been pretty cool, as things have evolved, and there's so many neat people out there who served and are just doing cool stuff, and there's a lot to share, lots to share. But thank you very much, man. So let's get into it, man. Tell us about Brian. How did you find this Air Force? What triggered you to join in the military and go down that path?
Yeah, I actually joined because I was mad at my parents.
All right,
So
that's some honesty right there.
yeah, so I was pre 9/11. I was going to college at John Jay College of Criminal Justice in Manhattan, New York, and one day my parents had decided. I was living at home in White Plains, New York, going to college in the city, and my parents had decided to take a vacation, and they went to the Gambia in Africa. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So they were gone for a month. Well, I was able to live it up at home.
Yeah.
Having parties when they weren't around, and they came back and they told me, "Hey, we're moving to Africa. We're moving to Gambia. You want to come?" I'm like, "Heck no, I'm not gonna come." Like, I was a New York kid. Like, what the heck do I want to do in Africa? It's not, I'm not coming to America.
Yeah.
And they said, no, we're really going. I said, no, you're not, whatever. And 3 months later, the house was sold, the cars were sold.
What?
And they're like, hey, you sure you don't want to come? Take a gap year or something like that? I'm like, no. And so they actually moved, and they sent me to live with my family attorney, out in Long Island. I didn't even know the guy or his family.
Oh my gosh.
And so, I was still commuting back and forth to school from Westbury, New York. And one day I was like, man, how do I get back at them? Like, I wanted to piss them off. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on the podcast.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
But I asked my friends, I had a clique of four other friends. And I said, hey, what do you think about the Navy or the Air Force? And the reason why I said Navy or Air Force was because I still cared about quality of life. I wasn't trying to punish myself.
Right, right.
Punish my parents. So they were like, definitely Air Force. And I was like, yeah, because Iron Eagle was one of my favorite movies growing up. And I was like,
yeah, that was a good movie.
Like, yeah, I could see Air Force, and like they don't do anything, right? So definitely didn't do that. Like, I don't want to be a pilot, but I'll do something in the Air Force other than being a pilot. And I was like, you know what? I really don't want to be in the Navy because I can't swim, and I ain't trying to be out in the ocean for 6 months straight or something like that. That's all I knew about the Navy. I didn't know anything about the Air Force either. So that's what led me to join. And I came in 1999. So this is before 9/11. And funny story is, when 9/11 happened, though that's not a funny story, I became a military cop, security forces in the Air Force.
Okay.
And in 2001, my leadership, all of our, the leadership, the E6s and E7s were frantically scrounging around for the ThreatCon Delta book. It was ThreatCon back then. Uh, couldn't find it anywhere. And then when they finally found it, it had dust like crazy on it. They were trying to wipe it off and find out what exactly to do. How do you close a base? Because nobody had ever done that before.
Yeah.
They're kind of normal, so that was pretty funny. We're all outside waiting for orders because the leadership was trying to figure out like what to do. So yeah, that's how Airman Arrington started off.
Wow, that's a good story, man. That's funny on the ThreatCon. I remember. So I got in '99 also, and yeah, it was a scramble. I mean,
Yeah.
No one knew what the heck to do.
Nope. Yeah, absolutely not.
No playbook. So
I was only going to do 4 years and get out. So, that was it.
That plan didn't work because obviously you ended up more than 4 years, right? So,
and people around me were saying, "Oh, you're going to be career." I was like, "No, I'm not. Stop it." And I was like, "No, I'm doing 4 and getting out." And then something happened, and I found Security Forces Raven, and it hooked me. And after finding that job and being able to travel all around the world, to countries that I didn't even know existed, it was just amazing. So I stayed, and I wanted to be a Raven as long as I possibly could until they pulled me out from flying. And then that same month, this was in 2007, I asked my chief, "Can I go teach it at the Raven School, which was on Fort Dix?" And he said, "Yep." And the next week, I was clocking in there, and for 5 years, I taught Raven.
No kidding. Oh, wow.
Yes, I was like, I'm not leaving this community. And then finally, they got me while I was deployed. They said in 2012, "Hey, when you get back, you're going to Cannon Air Force Base, New Mexico." It's like, yeah. Yeah. So that's a deployed location in the States. If anybody's listening and they're at Cannon, I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's the downfall of the Air Force is a lot of our bases are in pretty undesirable spots. Yes. So
absolutely,
it comes with its cons as well as its pros, right?
Right.
Well, that's really cool. So so being in that Raven community, tell me any cool stories that come to mind from when you're doing that and getting to fly and all that?
Yeah. So I have a cool story, and I've got one that is most memorable to me, one that I'm very proud of. So
okay.
The most memorable is, or the one that's kind of most funny now. It wasn't funny then, but that there was a bombing in Sana'a, Yemen, of the embassy.
I remember.
The air crew was tasked with bringing portable blast barriers to the embassy right after it happened. And so we were the first Raven team in with this air crew to provide for the embassy workers, the portable blast barriers, so they could bring people back into the country to reestablish the embassy. And so we land, and the embassy, was workers would come into the gate, and we got word from the RSO, regional security officer, who was out on the flight line, that the Yemeni soldiers pointed a 50 cal at them and charged it. And we were nervous that they were about to fire on the embassy folks. So, as Ravens, we have, service weapons on the aircraft to protect it. And so we're like, okay, charge rounds. We might be fighting the whole Yemenis army, and we're probably not going to get off this tarmac alive. Yeah, that was pretty hairy, and it fortunately the aircraft commander and one of our Raven team members, I was a team leader on that, was able to convince the deputy prime minister there that well, if we don't take off in time, you're going to be responsible for a $22 million aircraft and an air crew that has to stay the night and securing us, protecting us, and where you have like Hamas like right across the tarmac without any fencing.
Oh my gosh.
So we got off on time. They got blast berries off, and we took off as fast as we could. But
Oh,
yeah,
man.
that was as close as I had ever come on a Raven mission to potentially discharging my firearm.
Yeah, that's pretty hairy.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one for the records. Now, during Haiti, the Haiti earthquake, we had gotten word about 2 hours after things thing went really bad in Haiti, and at New Jersey and Dover basically flew down there and provided humanitarian support to the refugees that needed to leave. And so we were one of the first air crews down there. The press had already beat us down there. The press were already lined up.
Wow.
But we were bringing loads and loads of refugees out of Haiti back to the United States. And that was where I earned my humanitarian medal, which is the medal that means the most to me for my entire career. And that was most memorable and most proud medal I have from my 20 years. I did 3 humanitarian missions, but that one was significant.
Yeah, no, that was that Haiti earthquake, man. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
And I know you guys pulled a lot of people out there. I mean, it wasn't just your crew. I mean, there was lots of crews out there just getting people out.
Yeah.
That place was devastated. Wow, man. Well, good for you. That's a cool story. That's a really cool story. So, you did your 20 years in the Air Force and retired, and now you're in kind of the Atlanta area, right?
Yes.
And working in the nonprofit space. So tell us a little bit about like your transition out. I mean, obviously you're retiring, so you got probably a little time on your side to figure out what you're going to do. But how did that all come together, and then how did you end up where you are today?
So my transition story is really interesting, and so I transitioned from the Air Force. Well, I retired 1 July 2019, but my transition story really starts a year prior. And I'll take everybody back in time to March 2018. So I found this group on LinkedIn called the Veteran Mentor Network, which had over 140,000 service members or veterans that were in there willing to guide, mentor, and coach those that found the group. And I was asked by Tom Cal, who was the manager of that group and founder, to introduce myself to everyone and what I wanted to do when I got out of service. And at that time, I wanted to be a marketing manager because I was a cop, and I really knew what I didn't want to be was a cop, security guard, or prison guard. But what Google MOS Translator, which was big back in 2018, told me I could be told me what I could be was a cop, a security guard, or a prison guard. So yeah, so I put in there what I wanted to do, and this individual named Kenya Spratt reached out to me. And Kenya said, "Hey, I'm an Army Ranger at a Fort Benning, Georgia. Are you going to CMA tomorrow?" I said, "What's CMA?" And you all have to understand that I was stationed at Warner Robins Air Force Base, which is about 2.5 hours away from Fort Benning. And I said, "What's CMA?" And he says, "Centurion Military Alliance." I'm like, "Bro, what the heck is Centurion Military Alliance?" And he said, It's a VSO. And I said, man, if you don't stop with these Army acronyms and tell me what the heck this thing means, this conversation's over. He said, no, it's not an Army acronym. It stands for Veteran Service Organization. I said, what is that? He said, well, a veteran service organization provides free services and support to us and our family members while we're still in and when we've gotten out. I said, I'm an E7. All right. I've never heard of this stuff before. Senior NCO, never heard of this before. So I'm like, okay. And the event was tomorrow. So I was like, you know what? I can get out there. So I drive 2.5 hours the next morning to this event. And this is where my life changed. In the first 30 minutes, I learned that there was over 40,000 veteran service organizations nationwide that provided free resources and services to us and our family members, but nobody had ever told me. And so I immediately started thinking back to 2002, and a miracle happened in 2002. I made E5. And so I had troops, and all I could think about was how many of those troops that I let get out did I not set up for success on the outside due to my own ignorance on all these free resources. And then it hit me in the gut, and I started crying literally in the front row of this class, sitting right next to Kenya Spratt. And I said, or I thought, how many of them are part of the 22 that have killed themselves a day since then, or unemployed, or underemployed, or on substance abuse, or divorced, or homeless, or incarcerated, or any combination thereof, because Sergeant Arrington, Brian Arrington, didn't set them up for success because of my own ignorance. And
That's a heavy burden.
What's that?
That's a heavy burden to think of.
Yeah. And taken from 2002 all the way to that point, 2018. Because let's be real, as NCOs and senior NCOs, and give it to the officers as well. Once we send an individual to TAP, we basically never see them again. And unless they're like your boy or your girl, your best friend, you don't stay in contact with them. But so they might reach out to you if they need a recommendation letter for college, but then that's it. So we really don't know what happens to people once they leave the military. So that was a problem I had. And there's not much you could do about it.
Yeah.
So I went home and I looked specifically to see if there is some place to find all these resource library or all these resources. And I couldn't find a single site repository where all the free resources were co-located. So in my last 6 months on active duty, I found a website designer who was a veteran, and we built it. So that's where Vets2Industry came about. Now, I also was doing my own transition at that time, and I was helping people find careers and opportunities that I hadn't even transitioned yet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was awesome. But, we had started with about 72 resources on the Vets2Industry.org. And then we grew, we had more volunteers sign up to come with us. And then it's been about 2.5 years of the website being live. And we have just under 50,000 followers on our LinkedIn company page.
Nice.
Alone. And we've had over 190,000 page views on our website. Over 100,000 people come to the website. And, I have 125 volunteers nationwide that help mentor, guide, and coach individuals, mentees is what we call them, because we don't call them clients because it's too formal, and we don't call them customers because we don't sell anything. So that's what we do.
That's really cool. I mean, I've always thought that too, kind of the same thought that you had when you started developing the website is, I knew there were a bunch of VSOs out there, but, where were they? What were they for? Do I need any of them? Do I need two of them? How do you even filter that stuff, especially with 40,000? You could research to your blue in the face, right? I mean, you could never find the right answer. You're just finding stuff. So that's a super, super big like void to have filled for everybody.
Yeah, we have just over 1,000 of those resources, free resources, on our website at www.vets, VETS, the number 2, industry.org. And we continuously update it with more free resources every month as we find them, vet them, and curate them. And the purpose of vetting them is because we don't want to put anything in front of any service member or family member or veteran or caregiver that hasn't been completely vetted, because we don't want to put any predators in line of sight of any service members or veterans. So we do a really hard-on job of making sure that doesn't occur. And it's a community library. So if people come and they don't see a resource, but they know it exists, they can actually send us a message on our research page with the link and the name of a resource, and it goes right to my research team, and they will actually research the organization and then add it. If it's a good resource, they'll add it to the resource library. So it's a community library.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, you got more eyes out there kind of helping you find stuff, which is great.
Exactly. There's something else that happened when COVID hit. So when COVID hit, I got upset again. And so we know when I get upset, things happen. So when COVID hit, I was very active. I am very active in the Atlanta community with Vetlanta, with 4Block, with Bunker Labs. These are all phenomenal resources. And 4Block had canceled all of their in-person meetings, which is a great resource for service members to take advantage of, and veterans, where they get in front of the companies that are hiring and able to network and potentially land careers. So the problem with them stopping is that transitioning service members are still getting out the military, and they're now not able to meet with recruiters or mentors or veteran service organizations, but they're still getting out the military. So what do? How do they find their connections to organizations and companies to hire them?
Yeah.
So a week and a half after the last event that got canceled, which was beginning of March of 2020, I came up with the Vets2Industry virtual networking circuit event. And this is an online virtual event where we bring 400 to 500 people every 3 weeks. We bring Fortune 500 companies and recruiters and staffing firms, along with veteran service organizations from all over the country. Doesn't matter where you are, how tiny, how big, universities and colleges, together to meet service members, some that are getting out in 2 years, that are trying to build their networks, veterans, transitioning service members, and spouses and caregivers, so that they can actually start building relationships and meeting each other. And they've been a hit. We're up to our 22nd virtual networking circuit events.
Oh, wow.
16 months that we've been doing this, every 3 weeks. And sometimes we have a wait list. We have 500 that show up, and some that are still on the wait list.
That's incredible, man.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Congrats for doing that. That's huge.
Thank you.
That's really huge. So, I mean, obviously there's, a lot of a lot of people that you're helping get into jobs and stuff like that. any good stories you can share with us of, someone who you really helped out that resonates with you?
Yeah, actually, so Marina Rabanek, she um, did a DoD SkillBridge program. She was actually a volunteer with Vets2Industry, and she went through her transition. She was in the Navy, and at the end of her transition, she was actually able to get hired by the nonprofit that she did her internship with. And about a month later, her and another colleague were victimized by restructuring. Had nothing to do with them, just how they were doing it. And Marina, after being in tears for about a half an hour and then getting herself back right, reached out to me and a couple other the Vets2Industry folks, and I put out a call to action, and we rallied our whole network. And in 5 hours, she had a job offer.
No way. Oh,
5 hours. Yep.
that's
She'll
awesome.
tell you. And she's with another nonprofit, and she's loving life right now. And then her friend, who also got let go, we got her a career in a week.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, like I said, we have a great network. We have a ton of veteran influencers within Vets2Industry. We utilize Vetterati, and for those of you who are not familiar with Vetterati, please get on there. It's a mentorship application on the website www.veterati. Hope I spelled that right. No, VETERATI. There we go. .com, and you will be connected with mentors that are veterans or civilians, and you talk to them for an hour blocks, and you can schedule as many mentorship calls as you want. And my vice president of Vets2Industry has over 700 hours of mentorship on that app.
Dang.
Yeah, it's insane. I've only got about 311, but there's three of us that have well over 1,500 hours combined of just mentorship hours, and we have tons of mentors on there. So take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's a huge resource. I mean, for those listening, a lot of times, on this podcast, we're talking about transition and, what's your plan and what have you thought about? And, oftentimes there isn't a plan, right? And if there is, it's, loosely put together, and, you just kind of jump in head first and hope it works. But really, there's a lot that you can glean from, mentors and stuff like that. Even if it's just, hey, I'm thinking of going this direction, what questions should I ask? I mean, that's a powerful conversation to have, because, in the military, we're just so like head down on the mission, do what you're told. You just worked a 15-hour day, you're going home to sleep, and tomorrow you're turning around and doing it again, right? And like that's just every day. You're just in go mode, so there's not a lot of opportunity to sit there and like really put thought into stuff. So I think, for those that are listening, you really need to take advantage of this and just ask as many questions as you can.
Yeah, there's so many great resources out there. If you're in your final year of transitioning and you know what you want to do, which is, there's not many of us who absolutely know what we want to do when we get out, because we don't know what's out there, which is why using Vetterati is so great, and getting on informational interviews, which is just finding somebody in the field that you are interested in the industry, and potentially in the role that you are desiring, or to find out what roles are there, and getting on a 15 to 20 minute call with them. You're not asking them for a job or anything of that nature. You're asking what life in the day is like, if you find a veteran in those roles, what was their transition like into those roles? And Vets2Industry can help you and teach you how to do informational interviews. We do all of this for you. And then we also send you to resources that'll help you with interview prep, resumes, mental health, financial support, education. The list goes on. Community engagement. If you want to find a network near you of support, we can help with all of that. So, there's also American corporate partners. So if if you got a year out, do American corporate partners. If you know what you want to do, they match you up with usually a Fortune 500 company or a really top-notch company in the industry that you want to do, and they help guide you to specifics. And you meet with the mentor once a month for the entire year, and you're the only person that they mentor for that year.
Wow.
So, yeah, American Corporate Partners at acp.org.
That's really cool. I mean, that opportunity, SkillBridge is, another cool resource for people out there too. If you've got some, and it doesn't mean you have to be 1,000% committed to that's what you are going to do, but man, it sure is a good way to get a glimpse of that industry or that job or something like that. And like you were mentioning, we just don't have the opportunity while you're serving to really look outside, right? So like you were saying, we don't know. We just don't know what's out there. And a thought comes to your mind, well, shoot, that might be way off of the mark where you need to land. But this kind of gives you the opportunity to get in there and just learn, right? Get a little experience of what that's going to be from people that are doing it, and shoot, they might help coach you in a totally different direction, right? Which is the one maybe you need to be in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man,
and make sure if you're listening that you do your disability claims at 6 months before you get out. If you wait till when you get out, you're at a different bracket, and it'll take you a long time to get your rating. So do it. It's the BDD, Bravo Delta Delta, at your 6 months before you get out, and get your exams, get your rating, and within about a week to 2 weeks, you'll have your rating as soon as you get out the service.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's a really big point, like really good advice. I know a lot of, service members or veterans kind of feel like, oh, well, there's nothing really wrong with me. I don't want to dip my hand in there. But, that's the wrong thinking, right? So the government sets up this pot of money for disability ratings. And it's there every year. And a lot of it goes unspent because people aren't putting a claim in for it. And every year it's available. So it's not like you're burdening the taxpayers or anything like that. Like you're entitled to it. It's set up for you. And like you were mentioning, like the process, if you do it after you get out, the process can take a super duper long time and really frustrating. So start at 6 months before, and you may not even know if you got a claim or not, but go to the doctor and have them just check you out. They'll ask you questions. They know what to ask. They know the regs. They know what's in there and what's available and that sort of thing. I mean, but that's a big thing. Take advantage of it, even if you got a small rating. A couple bucks, over the course of the rest of your life goes a long way.
Yeah. Plus, if you get a 0% rating on things, that's still a rating. So when you're 50 or 60 years old and that is hurting you from all the ruck marching that you did, or carrying kit, those things can be reevaluated, and because it's connected to a service injury, you can be the rating will be readjusted to a percentage. So you actually are going to be able to receive monetary compensation for the disability at the level that they see it's warranted as.
Yeah.
So
And it's much easier to do that if you just got like the 0 rating in that example 6 months prior to getting out, then that whole process becomes easier and faster.
exactly.
Yeah. Super good point. So tell us about, the nonprofit. I know you said you have, volunteers in the organization. So, a lot of us want to be able to stay connected and give back.
Yeah.
And maybe the civilian life, doesn't offer as much opportunity for that. But for those who are looking to give back and contribute, what's something that they can do with Vets2Industry?
Yeah. So the organization is set up for those who understand. I know the Navy doesn't do this, and most of the Air Force doesn't do this, but it was set up like a battle staff. And so we have what's called an S1 through an S6. Now, our S1 is our human resources. It's like your orderly room. They handle everything from volunteers in taking in to payroll for part-time employees if we ever get, have those. One day, hopefully, we have full-time employees that can work, 9 to 5. My goal is to be able to hire a military spouse and a veteran at some point within the next 8 months. Hopefully, with sponsors and donations, that'll be possible. But they also handle all of our DE&I, diversity, equity, and inclusion, any complaints or things of that nature, and they handle our support at vets2industry.org. So if anyone has any life needs that are out there, not specific to career searching, but finance needs or domestic needs, things of that nature, they send it to support at vets2industry.org, and they will guide them to the free resources that we have listed to help them out. Our S2 is our research team. So if you like researching, you can join that team. I have a lot of military intelligence personnel in there, and people that really love deep diving, checking out if there's a threat, quote unquote, meaning an organization that could have a bad actor or hurt veterans, service members. There's 45,000 veteran service organizations out there, but not all of them are created equal or have the best intentions. So I want you to be aware of that. You still have to do your due diligence. Even if you don't use us, you got to make sure you check them out and find out if others have used them. And then our S3 is our operations. This is where all of our mentors are, and where a lot of our work effort with organizations like Pure Post, that help with your resume, are all located. We have our logistics team, which handles our swag and also our travel kits for events that we booth at. We have our marketing team, which is one of our biggest teams. We have graphic designers on there. We have people that write for our newsletter. We have event planners for networking events, and soon our in-person events when that comes back around, and we'll be doing them across the United States. Then we also have a compliance team. So we have a section for lawyers. If you're a lawyer, you want to do some volunteer work, we have 2 lawyers on staff right now that are pro bono. So if you like to come on for that, we have a data analytics department that was just created with right now 6 people on it, with 7 people that are being interviewed for the other positions. We have a technical team, our S6. So they handle all the website design and maintenance and whatnot. We have a military spouse team. So they handle all of the coordination with the military spouses that are volunteers and all external military spouses that come to us for assistance and things of that nature, along with our military spouse events, which we have our fourth one coming up August 7th. So it's coming up soon. And we also have a LinkedIn event, a webinar, how to utilize LinkedIn, best tools. And that's also on August 7th at noon Eastern time. So you can check all those out on the Vets2Industry.org website under events. So yeah, sorry, that was a lot.
No, that's good, man.
How we're set up.
I love it. No, there's a lot to share, and I really appreciate you spending the time explaining all that stuff. I think we all know there's a ton of resources out there, and the fact that you're combing through and compiling those in, a database or a library for people is super useful. So, for those of you who are, interested either in volunteering, or on the job hunt or looking for some mentorship or any of that stuff, this is an amazing spot for you to land and get connected with people. If you're not on LinkedIn, create a login. You don't even have to create a profile yet. Just create a login and go find Vets2Industry on their group page. And all that other stuff can be figured out.
We're on Facebook too.
Yeah.
So we're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. So subscribe. We have tons of video content on YouTube from our events, from our webinar sessions. Everything we do is free. Everything we do is free. So, please check us out. We're also on Instagram and on Twitter. We're increasing our presence on Clubhouse. We have some events on there, but we don't have a club yet on there. So you'll see us do Mill Spouse Mondays and Women Warrior Wednesdays. So you can check those out as well. But yeah, and I forgot to mention we have a business development team too. But you have to really know about business development in order to get on that section. Those are our elite people.
There you go.
Handle our sponsors and donors.
Nice. Well, Brian, thanks so much for sharing your story with us and everything you're doing now. I think you're doing an incredible thing for our military community, and just want to give you all the props in the world for that because it's huge. And anybody who is looking for any of these resources, Brian just went over. You can find them everywhere, basically every social media platform, online. So whatever your flavor is, and wherever you like to find information, you can find Vets2Industry. So
we have groups too. So if they check out our LinkedIn group, Vets2Industry, and also Vets2Industry job board. We have a job board up there where recruiters will consistently post job openings, career openings. I'm talking like the big name companies. You check them out. So join those groups, join our Facebook group. And you can just get lots of information and content and opportunities.
Yeah. Well, Brian, thanks again, man. Hoorah, another Air Force vet, and love having you on the show, man. Let's stay connected, and everyone who's listening, man, check out Brian's group, Vets2Industry, and it'd be worth all the time you can spend on it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, my friend. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you so much for checking out today's episode. If you have any questions about the guests on the show, please reach out to me at valoanguy.us.